Okay, you guys, so I'm going to do a little bit analysis with some of the artwork of Joseph Smith from the 1800s. It's all from the 1800s. And I do want to just extend an invitation because I had a church historian who's connected to all these top church historians that was bringing up a whole bunch of stuff that wasn't true about me. So basically, I had a roommate a while ago that had brought up and went on and on about tent cities and different things like that, and I found out that they were, through their family, they were on like LDS vow, and that they were into like, I don't know, everything is a conspiracy and a little bit paranoid. And I'm like, well, did they have psychosis? They're like, yeah, all this stuff I found out. But this person lied about my job, claimed my job was pretend. I have hard evidence from even tax records, even my accountant. If someone else is a church historian, if you want to know, is Debbie a bad person? Is she in her bedroom saying this? And I have the statements I have my phone records. Obviously, I can't show that on YouTube, Shows who I was talking to that day and their statements. Like, even I would invite them on to Skype to say, no, Debbie didn't talk like that. She doesn't talk about unaliving people. I only talked in a YouTube video 4 days before this person started telling people this, stating that those that follow Julie Rowell are like pointing at people and saying, you're dark, you should die. Like, I've never supported Julie Rowell, never supported or been on LDS vow, whatever you call it. Never supported tent cities. Obviously never supported Chandler or Dable with how much I've debunked them and said I denounce everything that they've been a part of. But I do believe in angels, so I did talk to roommate B about that, and we did talk about church history, and but I had a bishop this summer that not this summer, I don't even remember when it was, so it was sometime this fall actually. It's just a bishop in a ward that I talked about, people can have experience with the angels, and they're real and they're humbling, and it just makes you realize there's someone with more power around you, than you have. And I don't think angels are God. I think God is above them. And there's only one God. I only pray to one God, but this person A was like praying to Yeshua, believed in castings, and it all just scared me. I'm all guilty of that. And there's evidence that one of their ex-husbands said that they were violent towards them, and another one had a protective order. So when the spirit was telling me that I was afraid of that person, and I told person B, they told person A, and they were mad. Really, that's what happened. It hurt their feelings, and I had a YouTube video talking about people with, I think they thought I knew they had DID, or I just don't really know. But they were very, very mad about my YouTube video, and that's even on paper, Well, not that you don't know. So I'm telling you. But I'm extending an invitation, since I know that was one top church historian, but it's just weird to be like, but yet you guys are always looking at my website, because I know the IP addresses of where, like, YouTube does an algorithm, like, where are these people that are watching my channel? My website, who's looking at my website? And then I watch your presentations, and you are, there's certain people I just have said I don't want to talk to, but you think you're into research, you're wanting to find truth. Well, if you're going to talk about me like that, as it was very clearly happening this summer from someone that was connected to all these, I wouldn't really call her a top church historian, but she was connected to all of them, right? So that invitation is there. It's just you would have to sign an NDA, and it would be through Skype, but it would all be, not on record. I've shared what I can, and that's just been public. But yeah, my channel is not about trying to criticize all these people that analyze all these other photos. It's just weird that they copy so much of my YouTube videos and my own words and my own train of thought in the video, and then what I'm showing in sequence, it's just. And so basically, Joseph Brickey's presentation at the family reunion for the descendants of Joseph Smith were almost exactly the same as what Chris Tarr was sending me. But yeah, he didn't think that photo was Joseph Smith, so that's curious and weird. I mean, I can't throw the accusation out that he is Kress and he was using a fake name. Maybe that's his friend, but it was still the same thing as we're saying. I studied forensic anthropology, and that's what Joseph Brickey's claiming, and just all the things stating are just sounding the same, and it's just weird, you guys. But I took those videos down because it's just mostly me being like, what, you know? And it doesn't make me crazy that I do that. Just like actual doctors will have someone scribe what they're finding out as they're analyzing something or someone's health, or they're in the room with a patient. And sometimes they'll have a recorder and they'll talk and they think out loud. And other ones will just have a scribe and they're writing everything down. But as you've clearly seen, I process things by talking and thinking them out loud and throwing ideas off of people. But most people are just like friends and family. I'll get their opinions on stuff sometimes, but my whole intent, my whole point was just to show how I'm analyzing it in real time. So the first time I'd obviously already sketched the man's face in the carton. It was in July of 2017 and put it on the death mask. Did I invent sketching facial features? Well, no, people were doing that for Cartoonize Me, but not for analyzing faces. And then I did individual features. Someone described exactly how I described what I did and put it in a slideshow that made money. Moving on. So this duplicate oil painting I think is really important. So when people are changing the death mask and claiming soft tissue damage basically from swelling from dying, Joseph wasn't submerged in water. I mean, I could understand that, like, if he was submerged in water, like, you can't even recognize people that are submerged in water, but people saw him after the death mask was made and said he basically looked the same, and obviously Hiram didn't because there's a bullet hole to the left of his left nostril, which may or may not be an exit wound. My opinion is it's an exit wound, and I see a hole, a perfect hole in his right cheek, but whatever, you know, but no one wants to grab that. I don't know. But I do ask, like, you give credit where credit's due. It's just unbelievable. But the 1910 letter, Joseph III says that he first talks about this duplicate oil painting, which is this one, and he wants Ramsey to see this. But he commissioned this, and Victor Kress painted it. And it took me a while to find it, but I found out so many things about the forward-facing painting and the duplicate oil painting. But basically, our paper was already starting to be submitted places, right? And it was already basically done, and we were just fine-tuning it. I'm like, well, I found out all this other stuff, and it was like, well, that'll be another paper, is basically what I was told. But, you know, there was that we were trying to figure out, like, and I kept telling them, being asked about the forward-facing painting, and I just kept reiterating what was on the internet up until 2021, but then we were done and we were submitting it then. So it finally got published January 2023, where they said they think my photo is likely Joseph Smith. And my whole intent of, like, why did I do this? I mean, it's hard to explain because I just suddenly really cared in 2016. And 2017, when I saw how well it matched the death mask, I started making videos with the intent that whoever owned it wouldn't throw it away. And then when I bought it, I'd analyzed it, and I'm like, this is just him. And I had to share everything I found out. So then it was authenticating it, clothing, historical. And now I know who made it, when they made it. And it took me a couple years to get it authenticated by Godwin Weaver. That cost money. And then researching these letters. I'm like, I have to read these letters to Joseph III when he's in Plano, Kennesaw County, Illinois. So anyway, this forward-facing painting, the David Rogers one, it's hard to see the details, especially from my photo or any of them, to be honest. But it's very clear from this duplicate oil painting that the left eye has evidence of the step deformity, which Joseph Brickey just took away. Like, I'll just take that away because it's not in the Larson daguerreotype. But if it's in the soft tissue and showing in artwork, it was there when he was alive. So this is not from life. But as you read the 1910 letter, Joseph III talks about how proud he is of this painting. He has a daguerreotype, which is helping sustain the characteristic likeness of my father in the painting. So possibly they're editing the forward-facing painting. Locke Mackay confirmed with a black light, they could sort of tell that there may be multiple layers. However, it does not sound like he was really, really changing it. But the duplicate, he had full range. So if he has the daguerreotype and the authentic oil painting, those were the two references. So I strongly believe the daguerreotype is the reason this is different, and the reason why the left eye is lower than the right, but the authentic one, the eyes are level. On the death mask, they're not. They're just about exactly like this. So if I just show you. And here's some of the differences of the death mask. This is one that's taken way, way, way too close. Way too close. You can see how different the death mask can look. But you can see the left eye is lower than the right. And the same here. But you can also see that line coming down from the left eye. So just watch my video where I talk about that, or just go to Google Scholar and look up step deformity of the left eye, and then you'll find a paper. I've shown it many times. I've linked it many times, where the woman has the same line coming down from her left eye like a scar. Like it's a severe, severe injury. And it doesn't just go away. And the left orbital bone, her eye is just lower than her right. And her cheek is smashed. The orbital bone has been like smashed. So in 2016, I kept saying his eye is like, the orbital bone has been blown out. And I kept thinking it was the right, I kept saying the right eye. And you can see in the right eye, in this painting, more especially, you can kind of see it in the forward-facing women here. It's very clear that his medial right eyebrow on the lower edge, not the top, right on the brow bone, there's hair missing, but it's not on the left eyebrow, right? So that's some eyebrow hairs that are just sort of, it's an asymmetry. It's a unique feature in the thickness of these eyebrows, you guys. This is what someone could see sitting there painting someone from life. It would show up in the daguerreotype. And here's the double death mask of Joseph Smith, which we analyzed in the paper, and I've analyzed many, many times. But you can just tell I'm not even perfect. I'm trying to be level. I'm holding a heavy camera to get 5 feet away and to have it not distorted with the nose bigger and just, but the face narrows is what happens when you're farther away. The face sort of widens to the camera lens. To our eyes, we don't see the distortion. It just looks how it looks. But the artwork of Joseph Smith is so vital, and this is Emma Smith's daguerreotype where you can see the slant of that background, and Phoebe and Wilfred Woodruff's photos also show similar lighting. And so we've got see which pictures I have lined up here. Okay, now I remember what I was doing. So I've lined up the death mask here from the profile. So Sutcliffe Maudsley sketched Joseph Smith's profile. So it's very clear there wasn't that significant of like swelling or damage to the death mask. Like the shape of his nose is really about the same, forehead, the same chin. So to be reshaping the chin and all this stuff, I just don't think is justifiable whatsoever. But what is so interesting is when I analyze this Sutcliffe and Maudsley, here's his outline. I sort of adjusted it, and I was analyzing it to my picture, so I'm really gonna resize the artwork. That might be the easiest thing to do, and put it and show you the sketch that I went ahead and created. Not sure, am I still recording? I don't know. And Photoshop is tricky. It will like jump around a lot. And what I might do, just for the sake of this video, since I don't think I like the green, I think I'm just going to re-sketch it. So we know this is about the right size. And since Photoshop is being annoying, I don't know, I'll just leave it. But yeah, I've sketched his face. And what we can do then is just take this sketch and look at that eyebrow. Just even the direction of the hairs, the direction of the eyebrow hairs is the same. Shape of that eye, so so this is what I'd showed on my website before. And just to point stuff out, since I don't even think I like that color that much, I might do and these are crazy colors, but they're just, you have to have a good contrasting color. I have to, there we go. I'm using an iPad here, and my microphone is, so you see what I pointed out there? It's this eyebrow is just perfect. And so in our paper, they just kept talking about the left eyebrow. I'm like, but the right eyebrow, look at this, you know? And just how this falls into place. And then the eyes are just off. The eyes are just a little bit off there, but the direction of the eyebrows, the fact that they're thinner and getting thicker. So that was noted on our paper. So even that arch there, which is not, the thing is, I guess the problem was it's not captured in the death mask, so they noted that. And they're like, oh, but there's sort of, like, you would call them vellus hair, really. It would be hard to be imprinted on a death mask. And then what I did, I've done this in another video before, but the shape of the eyes. And he sketched from his shadow, but I've lined it all up with his face. I think Maudsley didn't put the eyes perfectly. He had his shadow, but he just didn't put the eyes in the perfect place, right? It's not a photo, but I won't even mark things out, but it's very clear. Like just the thickness of his top eyelid and his bottom eyelid. Now I want you to see this wrinkle. This is a wrinkle, you guys, okay? That's an expression line. Look at that. Look where that lands. And then we've got like two other wrinkles that, I mean, this basically could be that one below it. But here's his expression lines. He has these, how his wrinkles are. And of course he's got the swoop and those lines going right there. So basically what I'm doing is analyzing his soft tissue from life and the shape of the area around his outer, nostril, his nares, you just call them nares. But yeah, the nasal ala, nasal crease, alar crease, and the nasal ala, you just see that curve, and just the sizing of it. Look at that. And so when I line up the nose, the mouth really, even where the corner of his mouth is, it's really good. But we can line up the lips to the mouth, and the thickness of the lips are just great. So I'll just grab this again and mark on that line. Let's just do a little dot, like right there, and do a little dot. There's the corner of his mouth, there's the bottom of his lip, there's the top part of his lip, there's like the thickest part of his lip. Look at that. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do as far as like the sketching, but that is Sutcliffe Maudsley sketching him from life, and people criticize him, they criticize David Rogers, but when you look at my picture and then look at this duplicate oil painting, which I'll just kind of readjust the location of it so that you can see that in my picture. Just zoom out. We can enlarge it a little bit. What are we doing? I'll put it at half opacity and just line the duplicate oil painting up with my picture. And so people removing that lower left eye because they're watching my video, but then they're also copying sequence of things I show and pictures I show from the internet. It's like, yeah, I'm just showing other pictures and other videos people did from the internet, but it's just weird that anyway. So I think the duplicate oil painting is more of an accurate, according to Joseph Smith III, it was a more accurate representation than even the authentic oil painting, which for Junius F. Wells, Emma Smith said it wasn't a good likeness, and Joseph said it was pretty good, so he's got a daguerreotype of his dad. And we have the daguerreotype of Emma Smith, which turned dark. It turned black. So there's only 2 CDV copies, one from 1860 and I think 1880s of Emma Smith's. Daguerreotype. I'll just expand this bigger. So it's lined up pretty good, right? And look at that left eye. So since we're sketching artwork today, we'll sketch that layer. If the computer will let me. It's been freaking out today. Okay, we'll just call it layer 11, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I don't mean to hurt the roommate A and roommate B. I'll just state that. It's just when they're saying such hurtful, mean things about me that are not true, and there are things that are just true about them and publicly known, like this protective order against roommate A is public, and I mean a statement from the other husband is not, but I'm not going to identify them because they're scared of roommate A, and then roommate B it's also public records that they've been arrested for hard drugs. So it's just sad. But I just think that person, well, has a lot of problems. I'll just say that. Let me see, what did I move? Oh, I just moved this. There we go. Okay, and there is that line coming down from just the left eye. And some of the details, I mean, this may not fall perfectly in place, but you see how this has a sharper edge? Again, it's sort of an indication that something weird has happened to that upper eyelid. And I'm not going to say, I just even looking, I don't think the shape of the eyes are going to be perfect, but we'll trace it anyway. And my hand is tired, and I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, so my hands hurt a lot, so it's, but you can see, you know, and he'd gained some weight when, but again, you can see right along the orbital bone right there, and he's got these creases, so people try to add that to the Larsen daguerreotype. But let's just sketch one thing at a time and look at it. Okay, and so what you can see on more of his left eye than his right in my picture is, again, that sharper line. And it really, when I lined up those pictures, I've actually never done this. I'm not kidding. I've never sketched the duplicate oil painting and put out my picture before. And we can't see all these wrinkles, but I mean, we know symmetry-wise on the other side of the nose, we have that line that lines up, and we'll do that in a second here. And his eyebrow, the eyebrow hairs go beyond like the brow bone on this eye. And you can see that it just kind of comes up, but then he extends the eyebrow hairs here, but they're not coming down. But I think the thing that I can state about that left eyebrow is it does not, you don't see the eyebrow hairs coming down towards the outer epicanthus. We just don't see that. And so what I use for comparison then is a different picture for the left eyebrow. So there I've sketched this left eyebrow. So this is an unknown artist, but this is unique in that Maudsley, he's always facing our right, he's facing our left. And this eyebrow is shorter. It is less thick. And so when I put that onto this picture, then it's like, whoa. Look at that. So basically I can, and I know it's kind of hard to see, but, you know, as far as getting it lined up best as I possibly can. Like there's a corner of the eye, and the eye shape, again, is really, really good. But we have to kind of move it around like that to see how well the eyebrow hairs match. And it's probably have to zoom in so you can see it, but look at that. So the unknown artist is really good to know in life. Was his left eyebrow like this, or did it happen in the Marnum? No, this says 1842 on this piece of artwork. So, will it kind of let me show you? There we go. So that's what the bottom part, it says July 1842. And he looks like he's gained some weight at this time, because it was about May that they excommunicated a bunch of men that were living spiritual wifery, including John C. Bennett. And Bennett was coming. No, Joseph Smith was living spiritual wifery, which is abusing women. Plural marriage is not abusing women. Again, when I talked to some of these roommates, roommate A brought up Michelle Stone, like, oh, let's talk about this, and just kept, I didn't want to hear about Michelle Stone, but they kept going off on, well, she said this, what do you think? She said this, what do you think? Why don't you agree with her? You need to watch her. You just need to watch her. Like, I'm like, fine. And then I did a video being like, she doesn't know her history very well. I'm sorry. And then that made that person mad, but. So there's that. Yeah, let's go back to the painting. So the whole point, what I'm doing right now, really is to do the placement of the eyes. Thank you for telling me, Photoshop, what this does. But you can see that rounding of the orbital bone. It just looks enlarged to me. I think my opinion, I think both of the bones around his eyes were possibly damaged, remodeled, but Dr. Nelshair and Dr. Vandergriff only talked about the left eye, and the people in our paper only talked about the left eye. Well, I guess it looks expanded because he has right here, right where I'm sketching, is where the eyebrow hairs on the brow bone are missing, but then the eyebrow goes like that and goes down. So it's an unnatural, I don't think he was plucking, he could pluck his eyebrows, but I don't think he did. And what do we have right here? The notch. I call it the notch on his right nasal bridge, which you can see on the skull when it's not been edited. And so here you can see that arch and that thickness of that eyebrow. So on the left eye, the upper eyelid looks partially hooded almost, but here you can see so now there's the right eye. Wow. I've never done this, you guys. This is new. That eyebrow's perfect. The left one's not, but he's trying to make him symmetrical, and he wasn't, because in July 1842, this unknown artist sketched his left eyebrow is very thin. Then you got Benjamin Winchester West sketching him with these eyebrows that are just flying off of his head, so thick, right? This right eyebrow is thick, his left one's not. This is fun to do something new, but the placement of the eyes with the painting as is, unedited painting, done by Victor Kress, based on the daguerreotype of Joseph Smith, of a painting done before the daguerreotype was taken. So the daguerreotype's 1844, the painting 1842, though. I mean, obviously the placement of that, where he's lost hair, looks a little bit different. But the notch in the nose is there. And I can see the notch in the right nasal bridge of the nose, and I can see it on the skull and the death mask. But the shape of the eyes and where the eyes are, that's amazing. And the wrinkles on his eyes. So I want to point out just the right eye, that bottom, just that curve. But you see how that right eyebrow, how straight it is, and then it comes down a little bit. The left eyebrow just doesn't do that. This is amazing, you guys. I sketched the forward-facing painting, but the eyes were off, right? Because they're symmetrical. But yeah, bring the painting back so I can sketch the painting by Victor Kress. And it screamed at me. It thought I was trying to sketch on the actual photo, which I'm glad it did that. I mean, there is an expression line, and I will go ahead and sketch that there. But on the death mask, it actually is more like that. Take it away. All right. And you can see a little bit of the scar going down his nose, but we're not analyzing the death mask right now, but it's... But he has one nostril that looks really small, one that looks big. But it's opposite. So if he's looking at the daguerreotype, it would be opposite. See, it's his left nostril, but in my picture, it's his right. Well, I mean, no. This is his right nostril. In my picture, it's his left. On our right. Anyway. Okay, so talking about the nose here. It's still placed too low. Instead of, since I'm sketching this, I'm going to actually just... maybe we'll do this, just to analyze the nose, and then I can easily put it back. I think I'll do that. Okay. That's interesting. So interesting. Huh. To go all the way back up here because I have too many things I was analyzing, but the shape of the nose is really a match on the right side. The left side, it just, you can see his left nostril looks tiny and smaller than his right. But again, if the light is just blowing out the picture, but in a daguerreotype, it would be reversed. So I think they were struggling with a reverse daguerreotype that was turning black, so they couldn't rephotograph it, couldn't copy it. They knew that they could copy a daguerreotype onto a CDV, though. But it had been done in the 1860s, and it was done by Julia Murdoch Smith in Missouri by taking Emma Smith's original daguerreotype, which is black now. So there's an 1860s copy of Emma Smith holding baby David Harm Smith, clearly once, you know. Okay, but I'm just gonna move this back up to there. That pretty good. So this video has already been pretty long, but I say both of the eyes are showing that step deformity. And you see how the nostrils are level, though, in the painting? That is level. They're not slanted one way. He's not tilting his head. Just the left eye is superior. I mean, not superior. It's inferior to the right eye. The right eye is superior to the left eye, which is commonly, just look up step deformity of the left eye, and you'll see a woman with this line coming down from the left eye. And so in my picture, you can see that line just pulling it down, and you can see lines coming down from his left eye. And his left eyebrow is shorter. We've seen that in Unknown Artist from that is piece of paper, July 1842, saying Joe Smith. Don't know who sketched it. I'm really trying to figure it out, but And Sutcliffe Maudslay's sketch of the right side of his face, especially the eyebrow, the right eyebrow, is perfect. They tried to state that like the right eyebrow was thicker than the death mask, but again, it didn't catch that arch. But both Victor Kress and Sutcliffe Maudslay's artwork shows, well, that arch is there. So they even state, well, probably the death mask just didn't imprint those vellus hairs on the arch of the eyebrow. Well, of course. And they're right. I can't disagree with that. But I think that right eyebrow is amazing. And the left eyebrow. The step deformity is there. So Larson daguerreotype doesn't have that. It's not him. And neither does the Scannell Kid. I don't know. They might have tried to say that he had that. I couldn't see it. I think this is Joseph Smith. And I think the artwork helps prove what was there on his soft tissue in his face. The skull shouldn't have been changed, you guys. Have a good day.